Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and earlier this afternoon, patch 10.2 was found in a sense. There's a 10.2 vendor build that was found. It's encrypted, though, which means that we're likely going to be seeing patch 10.2 PTR sometime, I would assume, next week. Now, if it follows the course of what 10.1 did, I assume we get an announcement for like a dev water cooler discussion video, probably looking at the next patch coming out, maybe on Monday, Tuesday, and PTR hits Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know. Speculation, but either way, 10.2 PTR is on the horizon. Now, all that being said, I want to discuss the current state of Warlock, Destro, Demo, and AF without borrowed power, in a sense, heading into patch 10.2. Now, off the bat here, yes, tier sets, trinkets, all that stuff, they are indeed. There's new ones coming in 10.2. We don't know what they are, all that kind of stuff. But I want to look at Demo specifically, and then compare it to Destro and AF, looking at, like I said, borrow power, meaning tier bonuses, trinkets, things like that, which can be considered borrow power in a sense. Because demonology, for the most part, when it comes to Aberrus and some other parts of, I guess, areas of the game, has been considered pretty strong, whether you have power infusion or not in a lot of areas. I think a lot of that is because of Clash Trinket, Iridius Fragment, Tier Bonus, and maybe even PI and things along those lines. So, want to look at that, give y'all, I guess, a decent perspective at how it looks heading into 10.2, and then, I guess, just go from there. Now, if you're looking for any week awards, add-ons, seeing the video, profiles, that kind of stuff, links to Twitch and Discord down below, where they're over free for you guys. And as always, I want to give a huge shout-out to my patrons who are getting far in the video. Thank you for all supporting on Patreon, guys, a million times. I really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon or following on TikTok or Twitter or Instagram or anything, all of that links are up here. I am posting daily on TikTok as well as Instagram and a good bit on Twitter. If you want to follow there, it helps out a ton as well. And yeah, now let's get on into it. Okay, so like I mentioned a minute ago, patch 10.2 was found to be an encrypted vendor build a couple hours ago, which means that likely 10.2 is coming to PTR at some point next week. Now, I believe for 10.1, they had a developer discussion video, deep dive, all that kind of stuff, and then 10.1 hit PTR a few days later. I'm expecting 10.2 PTR likely Wednesday or Thursday next week. We'll see what happens, but if that, whenever it happens, we'll be here streaming it and covering it. Now, so I want to talk tonight about Warlock specs, all three, like I said, without borrowed power, because we're having a discussion recently on stream talking about how demonology has been really strong, all tier, even in like Voltaic Carnage is pretty good on a lot of fights, everything else, but a lot of it, I said at least, that a lot of it in 10.1 was due to like borrowed power. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate borrowed power in a sense. Technically, borrowed power is anything outside of your baseline spell tuning and talents, right? I mean, like trinkets, clash trinkets, tier bonuses, they're all borrowed power in a sense. So they're not, you know, covenants and conduits and soul binds and legendaries, but they're still sort of, you know, borrowed power in a sense. So I've run a lot of sims here. We're going to compare my current sims for Destro, Demo, and AF in single target, and then look at them with no 4-piece, with no 2-piece or 4-piece, and then remove the Clash Trinket and compare them all, if you're playing it for Destro or for AF and Demo, to see where they all stack up sim-wise, raw power-wise, tuning-wise. Now, I know, once again, 10.2 will have more trinkets and more tier bonuses and things that could prop up certain specs and all that, but I want to look at raw power for each spec wearing the same general template of gear and just go from there. So, getting into it here, my current demonology sim, 142,131 DPS. We're playing the single target build here, Sack, Souls, Portal, all the stuff here. Once again, Demo being very finicky with kill times, all that kind of stuff. If a fight dies, you know, in your burst window, or let's say right about here, great damage, you know, or after your city's end. If it dies here, pretty subpar. But Demo's known for having these really bursty profiles, hitting 500,000 DPS here without PI, without, you know, Ebb and Might or anything else, and then going to tank damage levels, right? Now, in 10.1.5, they tried to address this a little bit by changing some talents and stuff. They didn't really end up doing much with that. Hopefully it's a 10.2 thing, but either way, demonology, my current sim, 142,131, and it is spoilers ahead, my highest simming spec. Now, Affliction, playing the Malevolent Visionary build right here, is 136,800 basically, which is not that far behind. Malevolent Visionary AF is also a very good power infusion target. I think it's third best behind Demo / Unholy Decay, better than Devastation, surprisingly, even though I don't believe it plays AF with PI. Very strong. Malevolent Visionary does indeed play Clash Trinket, it plays Spoils, and it has more damage around your Dark Lair in 2-minute windows. Now, this looks sort of similar to Demonology when it bursts a decent bit at these peaks here, but Demo's bursting to 500k, which is not even on this chart. It's much higher. AF maintains more damage, maintaining 100k, dipping to 90-ish here roughly before CDs again, but it sustains nearly twice the amount of damage that Demonology does outside cooldowns. And with cooldowns, you burst, but not to, you know, 500,000 DPS. And finally, you have Destruction here, sitting at 141629, very close to Demonology, behind by only about 1,000, actually about 500 DPS. This is the 3-minute build, no Grand Warlocks design. Varies a bit depending on the fight. It's up to you, whatever you want to play, all that kind of stuff. But Destro's damage profile, pretty flat for the most part. Your Infernal brings Crashing Chaos, so you're hitting, 240k here, whatever it is, a bit more in your opener, but sustaining 110k, 115k roughly through the course of the fight, and that's mostly Destro. You cast Chaos Bolts, you maintain Madness, and that's pretty much it. A flat line damage profile. But things get interesting when you start removing tier bonuses and things. Now, for Warlock specs, just very briefly here, can we see them? We can. So, for Affliction, Vile Taint, PS cooldown reduced with 2-piece, and the damage increased by 60%. The 4-piece gives targets that are affected by your Vile Taint or Singularity, they take more damage from you, basically 10% more for the duration of the effect. Demo 2-piece, Demon Bolt does more damage, and it reduces the cooldown of Grimoire Felguard. And the 4-piece gives you an insane buff to all your demons. Whenever you cast Grimoire Felguard, increasing all their damage, including Tyrant, including Pit Lord, by 20%, which is extended by your Tyrant when you cast it, because Grimoire lasts longer, right? And then Destro, what does it even do? Oh, it's CDF. Yeah, CDF gives you a damage increase when you cast it, and the 4-piece gives you more damage. Yeah, I mean, Demonology is the biggest one out of all these by a long shot. Now, if you start factoring in only 2-piece bonuses, right? Trying to get down to more of that just baseline spec player power level, right? Keep in mind, Demo 142, AF 137 basically, and Destro 141.5. Demo drops to 126,000 DPS. Now, just from 142. Now, just to clarify here, we are still playing our 2-piece. I'll show there's no 4-piece here, but there is indeed 2-piece still enabled, and we are still playing Clash Trinket down here. It goes to show just how strong Demonology's 4-piece is, losing, what, 17,000 DPS roughly, still playing Clash Trinket and playing Iridius Fragment, right? You go from 142 to 126, losing 16,000 DPS. Demonology's 4-piece is exceptionally strong when you stack every single cooldown together and increase it more by your 4-piece, right? Going on from there, you have Affliction at 129, 115, which is, about a 6k DPS loss, but not terrible. Still, it's 3k DPS higher than Demonology, which is not what you have with your 4-piece. It's 5k DPS lower than Demonology. And then you have Destro here with 2-piece only at 133, 326, losing, a decent bit, like 7k, but yeah. Destro bonus is sort of Now, getting into just no tier bonus territory whatsoever, this is where things get really interesting. So you've got Demonology sitting at 123, 321, losing about another 3.5k. Affliction sitting at 125, 788, losing roughly, I think, like 4k DPS, 3.5k, give or take a little bit here and there. And then you have Destruction sitting at 129, 224, losing about 4k. But Destro being still, it's your highest sitting spec here. It's Destro followed by AF and then Demo in last by 6k DPS. But Destro's not losing as much with no tier bonuses because honestly, Destro's tier is pretty mediocre. And if you think back to even pre 10.1 when you get your bonus and things in Aberrus, Destro was consistent. And with all the buffs it got, it was the highest sitting spec for a while, but it wasn't played in content as much for a handful of reasons. And look at the profile. It's still flat. You burst a lot here with Infernal. And burst here as well here, Infernal again at 3 minutes, but it's still that flat profile, right? And you are indeed playing no tier here, right? 0 tier here, sitting at 129, 224. When you're playing your 2-piece, just to show again, once again, you're playing your 2-piece here at 133, 326, but still the same damage profile, maintaining 110k, 111k roughly. Here, with no tier, maintaining not as much, 102k, 108k, but still the same flat profile. Looking at Demonology with no tier at all, it still has that spiky damage, but look at your damage here, right? You still spike a good bit to 420k roughly, but you're sitting at 50k, sub 50k almost right here roughly. But look at your burst when you have your 4-piece, right? This is 0-piece here, about a 420k opener. With your 4-piece, you're bursting to 500 and something k without Power Infusion, which makes it even more OP, without Ebonite, which makes it even more insane, stacking all those cooldowns at once. So you can see why Demo's 4-piece is just so strong. When you combine Power Infusion and Iridius Fragment, and your Clash Trinket, and a Potion, and a Bloodlust, and a PI, and your tier set, and Tyrant, and Pit Lord, that's what makes Demo's profile so incredibly bursty, right? And that's where the borrow power comes from. Or I guess, borrow power in a sense, however you want to look at it, right? Now, When it comes to the no clash trinket sims, so Destruction just straight up in this build plays Ominous Chromatic Essence, and I'm playing Iridius Fragment. Now, this is a 3-minute build. If I was playing 2-minute build, I'd play Spoils, right? But we're playing Iridius Fragment and Chromatic Essence. There are all buffs on here, just to clarify for all the sims coming up. For AF and Demo, like what we showed here, I was playing Clash Trinket and Clash Trinket, right? But these sims that are coming up, I'm swapping out Clash Trinket for Ominous Chromatic Essence for both AF and Demo to just see where they're sitting with no tier bonuses and no Clash Trinket propping them up to get like just as much as you can as far as like bare bones, just what the spec does tuning wise, without any borrowed power, right? So Demonology, no tier, no Clash Trinket, 117,768 DPS. You've lost a considerable amount from where you're sitting. And keep in mind, the gear here is all the same. I'm even still playing tier pieces in this set, but I've disabled the tier bonus manually by putting in some custom code and stuff. I'm still playing the same gear, right? We didn't change gear or anything. I'm still playing tier, but the bonus is disabled. No bonus in here at all. We're playing the same eye level stuff, still playing 450 gear, same staff. I have swapped the trinket, Clash Trinket, from that to Chromatic Essence, and the same for Affliction, right? But even with that being the case, you're sitting at 117,768 DPS, which if you look at the sim a minute ago, when you had your no tier on, but you had your Clash Trinket on, you were sitting at 123,000 DPS, losing roughly 5.5, we're going to call it 6k DPS. This shows how strong Clash Trinket is still for Demonology. All I did was swap Clash Trinket out for a full 447 max ally buffed Chromatic Essence, and you lost 6k DPS. That is how strong the trinket is for Demonology, even without PI making it even more insane, right? Now, when it comes to AF, you're looking at 123,146, which you lost about 2.5k DPS. So Demo lost about 6k. AF lost about 2.5k, right? And there are other builds of AF you can play too. You can play Haunted Soul build, which just doesn't even play Clash Trinket. It plays Vessel and Chromatic Essence, which is fine. So AF has options, but you can see Demo's 4-piece holds it up a crazy amount. The same for Clash Trinket. You're losing 6k DPS just swapping out your Clash Trinket for another great trinket in its place, right? When it comes to Destro, well, it's the same. Destro doesn't play Clash Trinket, so it's still the same. You're sitting at 129,302. A bit of a difference here between the last sim. It's just margin of error, give or take. So Destro, 129,302. AF, 123,146. Demonology, 117,768. A whopping 12,000 DPS behind Destruction. And to make it even easier, we have this sim here, right? So Destro, 0-piece. It's the same thing here. No tier, no Clash Trinket. 129,237. AF, 0-piece, no Clash Trinket, 123,021. Once again, playing the Malevolent Visionary build. And Demo with no tier, no Clash Trinket, sitting at 117,835. That is a, what is it? That is a 10% difference, basically favoring Destro over Demo, and a 4.5% difference favoring AF over Demonology. And Demo also has that very odd profile of doing a million DPS, or I guess a lot of DPS, with cooldowns, and then no damage outside of it. So losing Clash Trinket, losing tier bonus, and all that puts Demo in a very odd spot. And keep in mind that I'm not even simming without Iridius Fragment here. Iridius Fragment's also gone next tier. Affliction can play Haunted Soul build, or other trinkets that just give you straight up, some bonuses and you're fine. Destro, sure, he plays Iridius Fragment, but Demonology is very dependent on Iridius Fragment as well, because you want to stack that huge intellect buff with your Pit Lord, with your Tyrant, with your Nether Portal, with all the effects. Your Clash Trinket for Demonology is basically a second unused trinket. Same for AF. Whenever you pop your Dark Lair or your Tyrant, it triggers a Clash Trinket. So you get that full intellect stack buff, plus say, hey, pop your Iridius Fragment, pop your Spoils, right? Iridius Fragment gives an insane amount of intellect that decays over time, but you want that intellect front-loaded into your Tyrant, into your Pit Lord. Later on, you don't care. So Demonology, incredibly synergistic when it comes to stacking cooldowns, everything together, but you're losing Trinket, losing 4-piece, which is massive, and also losing Iridius Fragment, which I didn't even sim here. I don't know how I'd even do it without knowing items for the next patch. So, comparing it in the long run, right? These are my 3 sims at the start here: 142,036, 139,551, 136,668, roughly about the same, give or take a little DPS margin of error here. Demonology, with 4-piece, with Clash Trinket, with Iridius and all that, 142,036. Find it here. It goes from best to literal worst. You lose 17% DPS, losing your 2-piece, 4-piece, in your class trinket. Yes, I know next tier you'll have new tier bonuses, you'll have new trinkets which can indeed prop things up, and honestly, once again, if class trinket isn't nerfed, probably play it next tier anyways for demonology. It's probably gonna get nerfed, but we'll see where that goes. Destro sitting at 139851, losing about 7.5% DPS, right? With no tier bonus, no class trinket. You don't play class trinket in the first place. And Affliction at 136688, losing about 10% as well, because you are playing class trinket with Malevolent Visionary build, and obviously no 2-piece, 4-piece. Keep in mind, you can indeed play Haunted Soul, which is, a few hundred DPS less. You probably lose about 8%, give or take. But Demonology is set to lose, with no tier and no class trinket, 17% from 142,036 to 117,866. And I didn't even sim Iridius Fragment being lost as well, because once again, how do I know what's going to be around next year for, no on-use trinkets, right? All right, I took the liberty of running one more sim, because why not? I want to see where things are at with no Iridius Fragments or spoils factored in too, because why not? Now, this is sort of jerry-rigged. All I did was put a Chromatic Essence and a Vessel for every spec, so it's for the double equip sim. So this is basically just to show Destro 0-piece, no class trinket. The no class trinket sims, they are playing, they're playing Chromatic Essence and either Iridius Fragment or the 2-minute one from Netheris, this thing. Spoils Netheris, right? It's playing an on-use trinket and an equip trinket, being Ominous Chromatic Essence. The ones that say double equip, it's Ominous Chromatic Essence and Vessel, right? Now, funny enough, I verified this. This is indeed playing double equip and one equip, one on use. You can see how close it is for Destro. This is why you see a mix of like double on use and one on use, one equip. Or sorry, double equip, versus one on use, one equip for Destro. They're both really close. It does favor spoils a little bit, but just playing 2 passive equip-based trinkets, you lose 100 DPS. That's almost within margin of error, right? Moving on to AF, though, double equip is actually, ahead by a little bit here, because you're not playing class trinket and everything else to build more power with your Dark Layer, Malevolent Visionary, but they're pretty close. They're almost one and the same, right? You're losing 400-ish DPS. Not the end of the world, so spoils, not a massive loss there, depending what you're looking at. Once again, 10.2, don't know what's ahead trinket-wise, but it's there. And then Demonology, once again, you lose another 3.6%, losing Iridius Fragment, right? So it goes to show even further just how much Demonology is held up by its Iridius Fragment, Power Infusion, or not even PI discussion here, but just Iridius Fragment, Class Trinket, tier bonus damage profile. When you compare all that together into one massive window and then add more power to it via, Bloodlust or Power Infusion or Ebonite, things get pretty insane. But once again, heading into 10.2, unless Demo pulls ahead with some insane tier bonus again and insane trinkets and all that stuff, which probably isn't going to happen, Demo might need some serious buffs or some help or some attention, because where'd that sim go? Yeah, it's best to worst. It's looking a little rough. So thanks for watching, guys. That wraps it up. Hopefully, I don't know, hopefully give everybody a better perspective on how Warlock is currently sitting, I guess. Maybe might be sitting heading into patch 10.2. Like, keep in mind, I know that new tier is coming, I know new trinkets are coming and all that stuff, but Demonology has like the best use of class trinket this tier. It has the best tier bonus this tier, and it's the best PI recipient this tier as well. And all 3 specs end up, working out fine with all those effects as well. But I feel like it was important, or it is important, to show where Demo is currently sitting compared to Destro and AF, with the borrowed power and things being removed, because, like I said, we're probably less than a week at this point away from 10.2 PTR, which means raid testing, new dungeons, S3 testing, all the above. And with tuning maybe on the horizon, I think it's important to get that out there early on to just say, hey, Demo could use some love depending on where things go. And well, we'll see where things go. So let me know what you guys think of this video down below in the comment section. I'm curious to see y'all's take on, I guess it's just the Sims, like y'all are surprised or not. I wasn't, but we had this discussion on stream a few days ago, and people were surprised that it was the way that it was. So I'm curious to get y'all's take on it. Any week orders or add-ons, like always, links to Twitch and Discord down below. We're for free for you guys. Before ending the video, like always as well, I want to give one huge shout out to my patrons. For all supporting on Patreon, guys, thank you a million times. I really appreciate it, like always. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below in the video description. Now, I guess at the same time, with PTR being this late, I'm assuming PTR is going to hit next week. Like I said, I doubt we get patch 10.2 before BlizzCon at this point. If it had hit a few weeks ago, it might have been like an October patch, but it's taken a while. And honestly, like, if given the option before or after, I feel like, at least for me, selfishly, it's probably better to be after. I don't have to, cram everything in before BlizzCon if it runs long, miss BlizzCon, but I'm assuming we're going to be in 10.15 for a couple more months still. But at the same time, if you're a PTR fan, 10.2 is around the corner, and we'll see where things go. Maybe it won't even matter. Maybe Demo gets overhauled, after Deathstreak changes too, or tuning comes in. This is all irrelevant, but I think it's cool to look at and stuff. And yeah, I guess we'll see where it goes. So, all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, hit the like and sub buttons below. Helps out a ton. And I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.